It is time for players like Mayan Williams, JT Tuimoloau, Kyle McCord, and others to put the pads back on, to lace the cleats back up, because today is the day that Ohio State begins spring practice.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Tuesday, March the 7th in the year, 2023, and I want to thank you for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen or first watch of every single day. Today's show is all about spring practice. We will discuss what I believe the focus needs to be for the Buckeyes offense and Buckeyes defense during this portion of the offseason. But before we get to any of that, spring practice is huge. It's a great opportunity for players like a Kyle McCord, a Devin Brown, Mayan Williams, Evan Pryor, go to the receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr., Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis, go over to the defense, Tuimoloau, Sawyer. It's a great opportunity for all these players to show what they have been working on since the season ended on January 1st. It's a great time for the coaches, Brian Hartline, Coach Keegan, the other coaches out there, to prove that those two guys are having a new role in this season. The other coaches that are in the same role in the upcoming season, let's show how you have improved. And for Ryan Day, it's a great time for him to answer some of the unanswered questions about him as Ohio State's head coach. Now, we can't answer all of them right now because games aren't being played, but you could definitely show we are working on the things that we need to work on for this team to be a better football team in 2023. I love spring practice because it's football, man. Like, I am a football guy. Yes, I love basketball. Don't talk much basketball here on the podcast because you've watched the basketball team play. There isn't much to say. But when it's football season, I love football. It's part of the reason I love this podcast. Ohio State fans, y'all love football too. So when it's time for football to be played and Ohio State's on the field, there's so much to dive into. And this offseason, this spring practice, all eyes, my eyes, your eyes, people from the outside as well, you're focused on this QB competition. But not just the QB competition during spring practice, running back. What's the food chain? Who's at the top of the food chain? What's the depth chart looking like? Mayan Williams, healthy. Travion Henderson is not. Evan Pryor, getting healthier. Dallin Hayden, will he take another step in year two at Ohio State? And the receivers is probably not going to change. Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming. Those are your top three guys. However, people say Jaden Ballard might be moving up. What about one of these freshmen that are really talented? Where do they go in the pecking order or the depth chart at Ohio State? On defense, things need to change. So we're going to see a lot of things with this defense over the next month or so in regards to how they have improved, how they have changed, what things they've done to be a better team, to be a better unit in 2023, better than they were in 2022. There's a lot on Front Street, but we're all getting somewhat of an appetizer, a teaser of what we're going to see in the fall. Now, won't say a teaser as far a little teaser, little appetizer, could be great. I mean, the spring game, which I hope you're going to be at, it will be a lot of fun to watch. I hope we're going to see a quarterback emerge from the fold in the quarterback competition amongst Kyle McCord and Devin Brown. I cannot wait to see those two guys battle it out in the shoe on April 15th. I can't wait to see it myself. Also, I cannot wait to see the pecking order in the running back room. I cannot wait to see the D-line. We're going to talk a lot about Tuimoloau and him and how this could be a phenomenal year from him and how if he progresses and develops, he can ultimately be a player and a person that leads at the end of the season to go to the National Football League. That is true. Who's on the other side of him? Because if y'all going to tell me Jack Sawyer, okay, what have you seen to say that? I projected he probably will start. This is also going experience and hoping that he's able to move a little bit better, and that he's not as stiff as he was last year. Now, granted, maybe at 270, maybe he needs to drop down to 265, 263, 262 to be a little bit lighter, to move better on the football field. These are things you're going to be seeing in the offseason and spring practice over the next month. But also, defensive backs. We hear about a cornerback competition. That's going to be fun. That's going to be extremely fun to watch. Seeing guys like Denzel Burke and the other players that are there, Davison Igbinosun from Ole Miss transfer, these guys competing. Both of those guys, I do believe they believe they're going to start at Ohio State's upcoming season. Tim Walton says you got to compete to get on the field. You got to compete to start. So I am watching these guys and saying, do they compete? Are they competitors? Because if you compete in practice, if you're a competitor against your own opponent, you're probably going to be a fierce competitor against somebody from the team up north or from Michigan State or from Notre Dame or from insert the school that's on Ohio State's schedule. If you compete in practice, if you're a competitor against your boys, you're probably going to be a competitor against the other teams that you're going to play in this upcoming season. Spring practice, though, it's an exciting time. And I'm putting a lot of focus on Ryan Day. At one time, I was a Ryan. I'm not saying I'm not a Ryan Day believer. I believe in Ryan Day. But what I will tell you is this. There's a lot of question marks he has. Urban's guys are gone. Day's guys are in. Are you sold on what Ryan Day is putting on the field every single Saturday? Tell me. You tell me. Leave it in the comment section of this video. Are you sold in the way that Ryan Day is developing players at Ohio State? Leave your answer to that question in the comments on this video. Whatever it is, let me know. If you're an Apple Podcast listener, you don't check out the YouTube, leave a 5-star review and a rating. Leave your comment there as well. Ryan Day is a focus for me because as people that have watched this basketball team, there's a lot of people pointing fingers at Chris Holtmann in the way that this basketball team has played this year. I, myself, am going to look at Ryan Day and say, if it's the same old offense, the same old defense, the same old thing, the same old song, the same old dance, at some point, we can't keep pointing fingers at the players and the assistants. At some point, it's on the man in charge of the football program. But hey, I'm not here to be negative. Let's be excited. Let's be positive. Spring practice begins today. There's numerous competitions at numerous positions on this football team. We'll be locked in on, and you can catch it all right here at Locked On Buckeyes, not just today, throughout the rest of this week and over the next month, as spring practice is going to be a lot of fun to watch. Spring practice is fun to watch. Also, when the spring practice is going on, I hope Brian Hartline, Coach Keegan, Justin Fry, Ryan Day, Corey Dennis, they're focused on improving the offensive side of the ball. What should they focus on improving during spring practice? I'll tell you next right here on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all of the fats and calories? Then you gotta try a Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier, but don't want to compromise taste, then man, I've got just the thing for you. You got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they are all covered in 100% real chocolate, and they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank me later. Thanks again for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. It provides you with everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear from big-name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball is available on YouTube and wherever you get your fine podcast. So the thought of spring practice, get better, get the true freshmen, the incoming freshmen used to playing the football and getting them used to what practice is like at Ohio State. It's also a great time for players that have been there for a while to emerge as leaders, to work on things that they need to work on, and to show the coaches and their teammates that they've been working on the craft, they're getting better, and they're not shying away from the spotlight that is being on the Ohio State football team. When you think about an Ohio State offense, not so much since Ryan Day's been there in totality. But if you go away from the 2019 season, J.K. Dobbins, Chase Young, Justin Fields, all those boys. You go to 2020, 2021, 2022. I won't erase what happened in 2020. Trey Sermon, last few games, that boy went off. If it was not for a shoulder injury, I don't think Ohio State would have lost as bad as they did in the Natty against Alabama. For this offense, how about we focus on creating and cultivating a culture and a mindset that this offense is going to be balanced? I am not going to go through all the numbers. I could do that. I will not do that. I do believe Ryan Day wants to average 250 passing yards through the air, 250 on the ground. Now, you may say, Jay, that's not really going to happen. It's going to be a little bit top-heavy via the passing game of the Buckeyes. Yes, that's great. That's going to happen. Kyle McCord, Devin Brown, I do believe both of those guys are capable. I don't know who will emerge. I believe both of them are capable of leading us a good offense at Ohio State. But based off last year's numbers and the averages, Ohio State played 13 games last season. The passing yards, they averaged 298.3 passing yards. They averaged 192.4 rushing yards. Now, if you want to go a little bit further, yards per attempt, the Buckeyes had 9.5 yards per attempt last year. Yards per carry, yards per touch for the running backs. You're more so yards per carry, not yards per touch. Mike Williams averaged 6 yards per carry. Down Hayden 5.0. Travion Henderson 5.3, which is great. But was it the game and the rushing in that you would like? Yes, you had a guy in Mike Williams had 825 rushing yards. Down Hayden 553. Travion Henderson 571. So you may want to say, Jay, that's decent numbers, aren't they? Almost 2,000. Yes, that is. But an Ohio State team should have at least one guy rushing for 1,000 yards. That should be expected. Now, maybe Ryan Day's offense is not going to be that way, but if you want to have a balanced offense, baby, you can't have 298 on through the air and 192 on the ground. Get closer to that 250 mark. It's going to force the defense to respect you a little bit more, to show that, hey, we can't just have extra guys guarding these receivers. We're not going to be expecting an air raid offense from the Buckeyes. How about Ohio State and Ryan Day dictate what's going to happen? Now, you may say, Jay, they are dictating. They're telling you what they're going to do, and you can't stop it. Okay, cool. But what about if somebody can? What about if there's a team out there that can stop what Ohio State is literally throwing at them? You need to focus on having a balanced offense. That goes along with the running game. Is that O-lineman? Is that running backs? Is that quarterback in the mesh point causing a little delay from the running backs? Is it the running backs in their vision? Is the O-lineman not getting off the ball quick enough and forceful enough and imposing their will on their defenders? These are all things that I believe everybody needs to think about and discuss going into spring practice, because if the Buckeyes offense wants to take the next step in 2023, it needs to be balanced, man. Think about your favorite offense out there, NFL-wise. Okay, maybe not think about the Browns. Okay, sorry. That may hurt some of y'all. That may not sit with some of y'all very well, but you understand what I'm getting at. Think about your favorite offense out there, NFL-wise. Mine growing up was the Indianapolis Colts. Still an Indianapolis Colts fan, but as I say all the time, that team is sorry, currently. But growing up, it was Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Peyton Manning, Ken Dilger, Marcus Pollard, Dallas Clark, Brandon Stokely. I wasn't the biggest Joseph Adai fan out of LSU, but I am still a Joseph Adai. I like what he did when he was in Indianapolis. What did we find? Peyton Manning found a way to create a culture and develop players and have an offense scripted and sculpted around what he wanted, but also it was a balanced offense. I mean, look at what Edgerrin James did his rookie year, second year, prior to tearing his ACL. Think about what the team did once they went to the Super Bowl, and when they went to another Super Bowl against the New Orleans Saints. Think about what this team did. They realized, hey, yes, Peyton Manning could have connected with Marvin Harrison all day, Reggie Wayne all day, couple tight ends when I first started following the team, and Ken Gilliger and Marcus Pollard could have got with them all day. A little bit later, Brandon Stokely, Dallas Clark, when it was more of a three-receiver set and a tight end that could be split outside. What could you find? A pretty balanced offense. Now, why do I go to the Indianapolis Colts? Because back then, that was the premier offense in the National Football League. That was what you wanted. That was the kind of offensive flow and production and development that you wanted. What did the Colts have? A solid O-line. Year in, year out. Year in and year out, that O-line was solid. And so we talk about spring practice, and I'm going to put a focus on the running game. I do believe Ryan Williams will be better. Is he the guy? Is he quick enough, shifty enough? I saw enough last year. If he was healthy, he would have probably had 1,300 rushing yards last season if he were healthy. So that may be what helps the running game, is just simply health. But also, you need to develop guys. Because I'm going to tell you, Travion Henderson, yeah, he could develop into being a starter. But, buddy, he has a lot of work to do to prove that he's going to develop in a way that's going to prevent Dallin Hayden from getting on the field. Because if Dallin Hayden stays healthy and he develops in a great way, man, let me tell you, that young man is going to need to be on the field. What is it going to do? Him getting better? It's going to help you have a better, balanced offense. But also, when it comes to having a balanced offense, the play caller has to get out of his own way. I understand Brian Hartline is going to be calling plays in the spring game. I do believe he's going to be. Now, they have not decided who's going to call plays in the fall, but I think it won't be Ryan Day. I think it's Brian Hartline. My own advice, to close this part of the show out, if there's any advice I would give to somebody who is a play caller, get out of your own way. If something is working, stick with it. If you can find a way to keep that thing working and have a balanced offense, go with that. A balanced offense is a kryptonite to numerous defenses and college football. Enough about the offense. What about the defense? What do those players need to focus on in spring practice? We'll go over that next right here on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by our good friends at FanDuel Sportsbook. The midway point of the NBA season is here, and now is a perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because new customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything, from the money line to point scorers and threes drink. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. So don't miss the chance to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/LockedOn. That's FanDuel.com/LockedOn to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. This episode is brought to you by Billiards Plus. Billiards Plus has the best selection of pool tables, game tables, shuffleboard tables, and more. And the best service in Central Ohio. Billiards Plus also can set you up with a brand new top-of-the-line grill that will last for generations. We all know how hard it is with the supply chain issues this year and getting certain things shipped on time. So when it comes to ordering that one big gift for someone you love, check out Billiards Plus and get there early this year. Billiards Plus carries the best pool tables from Brunswick, Ohio, Canada, Billiards, and more. Plus, top-of-the-line grills from PK, Napoleon, Memphis, and Le Griddle. That will be the last grill you own. Seriously, these grills stand the test of time. No matter the season, Billiards Plus has you covered for all your indoor and outdoor entertainment needs. Visit their showroom on Dublin Center Drive in Dublin. Check them out at billiards-plus.com. Billiards Plus, family owned and operated for generations. Sports betting is now legal in Ohio, and Locked On has the perfect show to help new and seasoned gamblers. Download and subscribe to Locked On Bets for daily picks and analysis wherever you get your fun podcast. So, this defense, we spent some time at the end of the season going over the defense, going over their numbers, going over some things that they needed to work on. They gave up way too many chunk plays. If you can look at chunk plays from just the 30 yards or more plays, or plays of 40 yards or more, 50 yards or more, yeah, those are bad. But also, if you look at just 10 yards or more, 20 yards or more, 30 yards or more, compare that to 2021, you might see this defense may not have been as improved as many said it was. And so for this defense to be improved and to focus on a couple things, I could literally go at every level of the defense. D-line, linebacker, DB. I'm going to go closest to the line to back and going to see how I progress into what I think the focus needs to be. Not having Tommy Eichenberg during spring practice is going to be a huge loss, huge absence for the starters. Kind of meshing and gelling. However, it's not as drastic as you might think, because it does allow some of those other guys to get better and get them more time on the field during spring practice in Eichenberg's absence. But ultimately, when it comes to the defense and the focus that I believe they need to focus on, is two things specifically. I could easily go just to the D-end, but they got to develop guys on the D-line. Now, I'm going to highlight a couple things here quickly. Number one, who, I said it previously, who is starting opposite of Tui Maloau? You may say Jack Sawyer. Has he really showed you that he's a solid spot or pick at the other D-end position? I think it's his going into spring practice, but I know there's a guy in Caden Curry who is scratching, clawing, fighting, hopefully not biting, to get on the field in a starting role at Ohio State. I know he'll be a rotational piece. I do believe that. But that battle for the other D-end spot opposite of Tui Maloau, it's a big one, and I want to see how does that battle go. But ultimately, D-tackle, you may say Tyleik Williams. You may say Mike Hall Jr. You may have a list of players that you want to see in that role. Great. Cool. Who is it? Who's solid there? Have they developed enough depth to where that if Ohio State needs to play 5 or 6 guys, maybe, okay, I would never say rotate that many guys. What if it's 4 guys? What if you have a rotation of 4? Have you developed enough guys that when you put your backups in, it's going to be somewhat of a drop-off, but it's not a drop off a huge cliff. I don't know. Last year, when the backups came in, it was a significant drop-off in opposing teams. What did you see them do? Run the ball. The good ones, at least, run the ball. You saw it way too much. So, develop guys there. But also, defensive backs. DB growth overall. Yeah, the the cornerback competition in regards to who's going to be starting at the 2 corner spots is great. Even Jahad Carter, Syracuse transfer, he's in a battle for that nickel corner spot. I say nickel corner. They may call it cover safety. I believe Ohio State calls it cover safety, as you want to say it's a safety-driven defense. There is a nickel corner spot, NFL-wise. Jahad Carter, I think that's his role, honestly. However, is it solid? And if he's in that cornerback room, Tim Walt's going to say, buddy, you gotta earn that spot. You just can't come in here and think, oh, this is mine, and nobody's going to take it. You got to earn that spot. And so I am curious to see how that's going to go down. But when you look at the safeties, you got Josh Proctor, you got Lathan Rance, you got some other guys there that are back there. Is Kyle Stokes going to be playing so well and developing so well in a way he's going to get on the field? What about Sonny Styles? Do they move him back to safety? Probably not. Does he compete to be at a linebacker spot? Maybe. Is he more of your hybrid when you go to 3-3-5? Do you bring Sonny Styles in to be that guy, that Jack role, which I still believe, and I'll say this all the time. Your Jack used to be a hybrid linebacker safety over a hybrid DN linebacker based off how offenses call plays in college football in 2023. I think that's the end-all be-all. I believe that's what it should be. I understand that there are times that things are going to be different. However, I am hoping the coaches at Ohio State are focusing on these things. Guys, we're out of here on a Tuesday. Excited to be back. Got some good stuff coming to you later this week. Can't let the cat out of the bag just yet. You have to come back and check it out. Some stuff, some post-combine. I can't give a little teaser. I'm a nice guy. A little post-combine conversation. Maybe a little recruiting stuff at the end of the week as well. A lot of great stuff coming. You don't want to miss it right here on Locked On Buckeyes. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. Out of here on a Tuesday. We'll be back tomorrow talking about spring practice, maybe a mock draft as well, because the draft is right around the corner. So we got to mix in all this Ohio State news. You can find it right here every day on Locked On Buckeyes.